You're watching the Brother Henry and You Show.
Engaging. Informative. Inspirational.
Enjoy today's program.
Hello, my friends. This is Henry Harris. Welcome to the Brother Henry and You Show. I want to come to you for the next 6 weeks, and I want to talk to you about a subject that I feel that's very relevant for our time, and that is the art of forgiveness. How many know that forgiveness is important, and that not only is it important, we need to not only know about forgiveness, we need to learn how to appropriate that. So for the next several weeks, I will be coming to you, talking to you about many truths as it relates to this subject of forgiveness. This is a very, very powerful subject. And I really believe that what I'm going to share over the course of the next 6 weeks is really going to change your life in drastic ways. Today, we want to start out week 1. We want to talk about Father, forgive them. When it comes to forgiveness, I really believe in my heart that Jesus Christ was our perfect example of forgiveness. Do you believe that today? Let's read Luke chapter 23, verse 34. Luke chapter 23, verse 34 says, Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. So it is imperative that we understand what led up to this event. I mean, we just read that scripture where Jesus says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. But what led up to Jesus making that statement? And I want to let you know some of the things that led up to Jesus making that very statement. Prior to Jesus making that statement, Father, forgive them, he experienced the unimaginable. And I want you to think about this just for a second. He experienced the unimaginable. Let me provide you with some more detailed information as to what Jesus encountered leading up to this event. Number 1, he was betrayed. You can read that in Luke chapter 22, verse 48. Number 2, he was falsely accused and experienced rejection. You can read that in Matthew chapter 26, verse 60. Number 3, he was mocked, and not only was he mocked, he was abused. You can read that in Matthew chapter 26, verse 67 and 68. They flogged him. They whipped him. They plucked out his beard. They drove thorns on his scalp, on his head. They spit on him. They pierced him in the side, John 19:34. He experienced abandonment, Matthew chapter 26, verse 56. You see all these things that led up to Jesus' event. If there was anybody that would be a perfect example of this whole series that we're going to be talking about, and we're going to be talking about both the practical side of forgiveness and the spiritual side of forgiveness, I would have to say that that is Jesus. If there was anybody that knows what it felt like to go through abandonment, it was him. If there was anybody that knew what it felt like to be forsaken, forgotten, falsely accused, it was him. If there was anybody that knew what it felt like to be betrayed, have many of us been betrayed before? It was him. Now listen to this. I want you to think about for a second. Think about experiencing all these devastating things that Jesus went through. The abandonment, the hatred, crucifixion, the betrayal, being spit on. Think about thorns coming down on your head, pierced in the side. Think about, just for 1 second, these very things that Jesus encountered, and Jesus' only response to his critics: Father, forgive them. Now, I don't know about you, but is that quite profound? I mean, it baffles me that Jesus had any opportunity, if he ever had an opportunity to get even with his critics and those who came against him and those who portrayed him, he could have done it right there, but he didn't. So instead he said, Father, forgive them. Forgiving those who have hurt us can be a challenge. Forgiving those who have hurt us in some way can be a challenge. I'm not here telling you that it's easy. I know firsthand that it is not easy when you're dealing with forgiveness or the ability to forgive those who have offended us in some way. But one thing we must understand is forgiveness is not necessarily for your benefit as it is for the offender. How many just caught what I said? Sometimes we think forgiveness is for us, and it is for you as it relates to you for learning how to forgive yourself. Because how many know you can't really forgive anybody else if you haven't forgiven yourself? Some of us have done things in our own lives that we haven't gotten over that hump yet. We're still holding ourselves hostage to things that we haven't even forgiven ourselves over yet. And I want to let you know today that that is a position that God does not want you to be in. He wants you to be free like the birds of the air. He wants you to be liberated. And how many know that's what grace is? Grace helps us to forgive ourselves. But when it comes to offender, forgiveness is not necessarily for you, it's for them. Because how many know that when we hold on to those who have betrayed us, those who have hurt us in some way, those who have rejected us, when we hold on to those various things, they are keeping you hostage. Father, forgive them. Do you find yourself saying that oftentimes? I do. When I feel betrayed, when I feel like I've been done wrong, I often say that. Father, forgive them. You know why? Because they don't know what they're doing. Now let's move right along. I totally get it. Many of you right now are probably saying, but you don't know what they did to me, Brother Henry. They lied about me. They betrayed me. They took me through hell. I'm going to make them pay. Folks may say, well, it's wrong to think that way. In reality, it's not, because you're just being a human being. Many times when we're hurt and betrayed, or somebody had done us wrong, betrayed our trust, or whatever the situation may be, sometimes our first initial reaction is what? I'm going to get even. How dare they do me that way? And many of you may be saying, well, brother, you don't understand. I want you to know, I do understand. I do get it. Don't throw those emotions under the bed. Process those emotions. Take your time. Process those emotions. Process how you feel. It's normal to feel that way. Those who have hurt us, we have the tendency to get revenge. It's totally fine to feel that way emotionally. It's totally fine to feel that way emotionally. So let's just face it. How do you find yourself responding to the people who have hurt you? How do you find yourself responding to the people who have betrayed you in some way? How do you respond? Our first initial reaction always, all the time, will not be, Father, forgive them, but retribution. I got to get them back. But how many know that when you do that, or when you have that mindset, what you're actually doing is you're creating a bigger wound that the offender created for you. They've already wounded you. They've already hurt you. The wound has been made. They did that. So by you retaliating against them in whatever way, you just made a bigger wound for yourself. And guess what? They went on about their business. They're sleeping well at night. You're sitting up there at nighttime worrying about them, and they did this and they hurt me, and poor little old me. They moved on with their life. They're sleeping well. They've done their dirt, as I always say, and they've moved on. And I want to encourage you today to move on. And again, that is a process. Too many of us don't understand that what forgiveness really is. We don't really know what forgiveness really is. Don't sit another day, and I don't know who I'm talking to today, but don't sit another day in resentment. They did this to me. They hurt me. They betrayed me. They violated my trust. Don't sit another day in resentment. Don't allow that bitterness to develop in your life, in your heart. We have to move on, and while getting even may seem like the right thing to do, actually it's not the right thing to do. While getting even may seem like the right thing to do, is actually unhealthy for you. So let me leave you with this thought as we go to a close. Being forgiving comes unconditional. There's really no limitation to authentic forgiveness. You can read that in Matthew chapter 18, verse 21 through 22. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times should I forgive my brother or sister who sinned against me, who hurt me, who betrayed me? Up to 7 times? Do I just forgive them 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Now, who in the world is keeping count when somebody hurts you? They lied on me, number 1. They talked about me, number 2. I thought they were my friend, number 3. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. Forgive unconditionally. There are no limits to authentic forgiveness, and it's something that comes and flows freely from your heart. Consider all the things that Jesus endured today. Consider all the things that I've told you that led up to that event where he said, Father, forgive them. This is what true and authentic forgiveness looks like. Jesus had every opportunity to get even with those that hurt him. He could have destroyed them. He could have gotten his revenge. But he looked at humanity, even those who have hurt him. And he said, Father, forgive them. And as I go to a close, I love that part of the story where the guy that pierced him in the side, who hurt him, pierced him in the side, think about this for a second, fell to his knees and said, surely this was the Son of God. I know I've hurt him. I know I've pierced him in the side. I know I've rejected him. I know I was going along with the plans. And thank God for that, or else he would have never died. But he experienced authentic forgiveness when he fell on his knees. He said, surely this was the Son of God. I want people to see that in your life today. And I'm not saying be a doormat. I'm not saying let people walk over you. Forgiveness can be a process, and we're going to talk about that here in the next week or so. The difference between progressive forgiveness and automatic forgiveness. Forgiving someone doesn't happen overnight. I totally get that. But I want to bring you to a place that you will free yourself from those who have hurt you, those who have harmed you in some form or fashion. Just be free. And when you don't know what else to say, and when you don't know what else to do, just look up at the offender and say, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. I appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. You're awesome. Next week, we will go into part 2 of this series, The Art of Forgiveness. We're going to talk about the difference between progressive forgiveness and automatic forgiveness. I'll see you guys next week. Do me a favor, like this video, share this video with your friends. It's a very relevant subject, and I believe the world needs to hear what I'm sharing. I love you guys. I'll see you next week.
Hi, my name's Heather. Thank you for watching the Brother Henry and You show today. If you've enjoyed the show today, visit us at facebook.com/The Brother Henry and You show. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.